Hey, today we're going to do a quick install on the driver's side of our K5 squared PowerStep brackets. These brackets are found on our website. You can select the year that you have for your truck and these will work. This particular body is a 1984. This is a military Jeep. It's one that we happen to have off the frame, so we're going to roll with it. Okay, I've got the driver's side bracket, and when we put these on to do the initial fit, we just take the motor side off. The thing that's important is the non-motor side. This is how we're going to index our height and shim it to height. So this fits up, it sits nicely in here. When we're putting this in, I just like to set it in there. Now I'm going to pull it back out. I'm going to put 2 screws in. Okay, so I've got I use a truss head screw and then just put a 1/4 inch washer on it. Really simple, Phillips head. Self-drilling. So you'll see there's 2 holes, 2 mounting holes. The second hole is so that we can put a screw on here. And then this is going to hold our bracket in place. Now the bracket's secure. I'm going to put another one on this other side. I'm looking underneath to make sure that this gap is consistent. And I'm going to put this screw into the other hole, into the second hole on the other side. One last time, I'm looking to make sure that my gap in the rocker is consistent. Now we know we're ready to drill these other holes. So the first 2 holes are just to hold this thing up. The intention was if you're laying on your back in the driveway, trying to hold this up with the drill and everything else, it's not a great thing. So I'm going to drill these other holes with bolts in. There's a little space on the floor as we go towards the back that we hit with this, and that's what I'm running into right now. The bit's kind of jamming up in there. There we go. And for right now, what we're doing again, so now we're temporarily holding it up with the screws. Now we're going to temporarily hold it up with these bolts so that we can shim it for level. Let's go. We've got our bolts installed. They're loose. They're not even, there's probably an 1/8 of an inch gap in there. And what I did was, you're going to be cutting the steps short no matter what. So just take a 6-inch, an easy enough chunk to work with. And then we're going to come around and we're going to look at how this closes up in here and how we fit up in our truck. So as we can see, we're up there. We've got a little bit of a reveal on our bracket. The step closes nicely. So what I'm looking at is I'm looking to make sure that this stays consistent all the way through. And it looks like it's pretty close. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and say that this is shimmed correctly. Now, if we did need to shim this and we needed to move, let's say the top needs to come down in the front. So what we can do is, this is where we take this screw out. And I'm just going to put a couple of washers in next to this bolt that's now holding it. This is going to be the permanent mount for the bolt. So we'll put these washers in there and just hand tighten it up. You don't have to go nuts with this because we're just looking for alignment right now. Then I'm going to go back out and I'm going to look down my rocker. And as I look down this right now, it looks low, obviously, because we just put 2 washers in there. But every one of these trucks is different. Every one of these rocker panels is different. They're 40-year-old trucks. They've been through the desert, they've been through the mud, they've been through the farm field. So we've allowed this. The reason for the 2 mounting holes is so that you can shim them up to height. You can shim it in and out to clock it as well. So at this point, we're good. I'm gonna take these other 2 shims out and just let this hang. And now where we had the screws in there, now I'm just gonna drill those holes. And now I'm going to jump up and I'm going to drop the bolts in. What we're doing, I'm doing this on a lift so you can see what's going on. I intended on this laying on my back to install these. So I'm going to drop the bolts in. I'll be right back. Okay, so we've got these bolts tightened up. It's really solid. But what we're going to do to go a step further is we're going to put the self-tapping screws put on a couple of self-drilling screws up into this body brace. And what this is going to do is this is going to make everything rock solid. Okay, now this is completely attached to the body. It's hung with 4 bolts in the front. I recommend putting some fender washers underneath your bolts in the front. We purposely left the front motorized step actuator off of this because the lift was in the way. They need to be installed ahead of time. You're going to use the bolts that it comes with. There's an indexing hole underneath here that matches up. There's a bolt that goes in the back. You can tighten all that up before you install these. These will close up nice now. The motor goes towards the front on both sides. One of these is offset slightly, and the one that's offset back slightly is the one that goes on the driver's side, because the motor actuator, the motor hides up behind the 8-pillar mount. And as you can see, I can't get this in here because of the lift. That's why it's not installed right now. At this point, the portion that we provide is complete. Another self-tapping screw. Make sure your bolts are tight. Tap it one more time for alignment. You're good to go. Wire up the steps however you see fit. If you want to use the door pins, you can use the door pins. You can add door pins individually. The wiring you're going to have to figure out based on the manufacturer's instructions. Thank you.